It's a pleasure to bring to the stage the CEO of Human Longevity, David Carrow. Dr. David Carrow is the chief radiogenomicist and interim CEO of HLI. He is a leader in MR and genomics analysis and really bringing AI into the field. A dear friend and someone who's helped the organization really scale and scaling globally. David, thank you, pal.
Hey, thanks, Peter. Good to see you.
Stage is yours, pal.
Thanks. Okay, so thanks everyone. So our company was founded 4 years ago. For those of you who don't know us, and we got our start really in the genomic sciences. One of our co-founders, in addition to Peter, Craig Venter, and I think like the hype 19 years ago when the first human genome was sequenced that it was going to change the practice of medicine forever, we see a similar hype right now around AI, that when reduced to practice, this will change the practice of medicine, increase longevity. A lot of hype, but not much reduction to practice. So I'm going to make the argument that we're reducing AI to clinical practice, and we're one of the first groups to do that. And I'm also going to make this suggestion that in terms of the next novel feature that's going to enable the extension of the healthy human lifespan, I don't think it's going to be a drug-eluting stent. I don't think it's going to be a new chemotherapy regimen. I think rather it's going to be data, and it's going to be decision support for precision health and wellness guided by AI and deep data, and that's what we do. So we have sequencing laboratories where we do all of our genomic sequencing. And the company, although initially founded as a genomics company, has transitioned into an artificial intelligence genomics company. And when we started 4 years ago, we designed really a science experiment, a data gathering lab. And the goal was to explore the normal human variation in phenotype. So we recruited 50 healthy subjects, and they went through this lab and underwent everything from whole genome sequencing to whole body MR to microbiome to 4D echo. And these presumed healthy individuals, it turned out after we evaluated them, were not so healthy after all. And now this is the data behind a paper that's in bioarchives, and it's like a laundry list, sort of an indictment of our current healthcare system, because in addition to that 50 that came through, we've now had 4,000 folks come through. This is a summary of the first 1,200. And in these presumed healthy individuals, we're finding 1 in 50 with a new previously unknown tumor, often high-grade and early stage, 2.5% with previously unknown brain or aortic aneurysms, 8% with new arrhythmias like atrial fibrillation, 9% with severely elevated cardiovascular risk, 16% with abnormal cardiac structure or function findings on cardiac MR and echo, 30% with imaging and genetic findings, risk factors for metabolic syndrome and elevated liver fat. And then this is a wild finding. When we look across the whole genome, 24% of our clients have a rare mutation, such as a rare monogenic variant like BRCA, or a biallelic compound heterozygous or homozygous mutation.
And these are all wealthy people who can afford the best medical care in the world.
Correct. So many of the, when we started, our costs were pretty high, and so our pricing was $25,000. As our costs have come down, we've passed that along to our clients. It's now $5,500. But fair to say, Peter, many of our clients had gone to many of the top executive health programs that you all know so well, and maybe that you participated in. In spite of that, we were making these significant findings. This is the paper, which will be soon in a high-impact journal, summarizes the data. And these are just some examples of the findings. 2 women in their 30s with high-grade papillary thyroid cancer. This is our whole body non-contrast MRI, so there's no radiation, no IV contrast. A 54-year-old had no risk factors for lung cancer. She was a non-smoker, and she had a 2-centimeter adenocarcinoma that was resected a week later. Men with prostate cancer, 2.5% of the men over the age of 59 were finding high-grade prostate cancer, not the low-grade prostate cancer you die with, but the high-grade that men die of. We're not perfect. We've had 1 false positive and 1 false negative, but we're doing really well in picking up high-grade prostate cancer that in its early stages can be treatable. And it's not just tumors, high-grade tumors. We're also finding grape-sized aneurysms. This one was coiled a week later. Significant coronary artery disease in 30 and 40-year-olds that you wouldn't expect. And these are a summary of the genomic findings. Again, 24% with rare genomic mutations that affect the health of that individual personally. And these aren't just esoteric or philosophical findings or mutations. 63% of the time, we're correlating the genetic finding with phenotype. So if a male has a BRCA mutation, we're correlating that with prostate cancer on prostate MR and so forth. And this is an example of a case bringing it all together, a 54-year-old family history of heart disease. He was being medically managed for high cholesterol, but nothing more than that. It turns out his CT calcium score showed significant disease in the main coronary artery that supplies the left ventricle, and he has an autosomal dominant mutation that explains his disease. Now, this isn't just diagnosing him. Because it's autosomal dominant, there's a 50% chance that his family members have it. So we're essentially identifying whole trees of families with many of these findings. And the overall summary is that 14% of our clients have a clinically significant and actionable finding, and 40% have an overall clinically significant finding. When we extrapolate our baseline data, all of these findings to epidemiologic data, we show that for many of these clinically significant actionable findings, we're adding anywhere between 1 and 9 years of life. And we're doing this in our precision health space in San Diego, where we've now had over 4,000 clients. The cornerstones of the assessment are whole body MRI, whole genome sequencing, and advanced blood biomarkers. And really, it's a solution to this problem, which is that in the United States, and this crosses all socioeconomic groups, and you all have family members and friends, unfortunately, who'd lived to the age of 50 but didn't make it to age 75 due to premature mortality from chronic age-related disease. And that's Alzheimer's, that's cardiovascular disease, that's cancer. But that's a pretty stunning statistic. And it really reads like an indictment of our current system. We're spending 17% of GDP, $3 trillion in healthcare. Only 2% of that is focused on primary care, precision health, and wellness. So our solution is this. It's to move away from what we've been doing for the last 30 years, which in my opinion really is kind of dopey, right? The core exam is still largely a stethoscope, a reflex hammer, and a tongue depressor. If we want to know about your family history, we're asking you, what did mom and dad have? We're not doing any significant genotyping, and we're changing that. So in our practice, we're sequencing all 6 billion base pairs. We're evaluating the core with MRI biomarkers, advanced blood biomarkers, and integrating that with AI and machine learning. So, fair to say that most of our clients, thankfully, don't have a new tumor or a new aneurysm, but everyone benefits from the health intelligence as they leave our assessment. So this is an example, Alzheimer's. Many of our clients come in and say they don't want to know their risk for Alzheimer's. We dispute that. Actually, a third of the risk for Alzheimer's is modifiable. And so when our clients and patients leave, they have a readout on their individualized risk for Alzheimer's, not population level risk or relative risk, but in the next year, or in the next 5 years, based on everything you know about me, my genetics, my imaging, my blood biomarkers, what's my risk, and what's the number one lever I can pull to reduce my risk based on my modifiable risk factors. So we're doing that for diabetes, and the idea is to identify disease pre-symptomatically 10 years before disease onset. We're doing this for coronary artery disease as well. And the concept is really taking what we're doing in San Diego and scaling this to multiple geographies, scaling with clinical and imaging partners. Costs are coming down rapidly. We predicted that by 2020 we'd have a whole genome that would be under $1,000. We're already there actually at the beginning of 2019. So these costs are coming down, and this is definitely going to move into the mainstream. We are in Naples, Florida. We're starting a partnership with Darshan Shah, Dr. Shah, and Next Health and
Darshan,
Carbon
you
Health.
in the room here? All right.
There you go.
So Darshan runs Next Health, and we'll be having an HLI health nucleus facility here in Los Angeles with him.
So the idea is HLI partnering with folks like Dr. Shah, a clinical partner, an imaging partner, to be offering this in multiple geographies. Naples, San Francisco, and LA are the first geographies expanded beyond San Diego. And the overall goal of this is to understand, to enable you with data so that you understand your condition. And why is it that with healthcare, unlike everything else we do in life, it's not very data-driven right now? So your car has thousands of sensors. If you're investing, you have thousands of data points. Your social media, all of it data-driven. Why isn't healthcare? This was an image from a local hospital in San Diego County that just opened a new whole-body assessment, a new executive health program, and that's the image that they have showing old-school stethoscope. So that is not what the doctor needs to order. It's not what we need. We don't need more of that. And I would argue what really our program allows our patients and clients to do is to really take this data and be part of a program of action rather than a pill. If you think of most chronic age-related disease, it's on a spectrum. It's on a bell curve. Most of us don't have super high cholesterol or super low cholesterol. We're somewhere in the middle. And the idea is to provide our clients with data that allows them, if they're just above average, to move that risk to average, making use of a program, lifestyle changes, rather than, in many cases, a pill. So I'll leave it there, and with Peter, I'll take some questions later.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, David. Thanks, Bill.